starting to give yourself a vocabulary. And then you might say, well, I felt excited when my husband came home because I hadn't seen him all day. Okay, that's awesome. So now excited, the first time I remember feeling excited was, and you go back and you remember what that felt like, when that was, and now guess what? You've given yourself another name. You've given yourself another file. You're training your brain to feel, you're training your brain to know what you're feeling, and you're starting to give yourself that vocabulary and give yourself some experience with that. This is powerful, you guys. This is powerful, especially if you have kids. Do this with them. Don't let your kids grow up and have no emotional vocabulary. Don't let them grow up and not even be able to say, well, this is what I'm feeling, or to know what they're feeling, and to not know how to handle what they're feeling or know what to do with that. Because let me ask you guys this. Has any of you has this been something you've had to overcome as far as knowing what you're feeling and knowing the names for it? Give me something in the chat box. Say that was me. If this is something you've had to learn, and how much better to learn it young or to learn it now, however old you are now, it's worth it. Because again, I don't believe you can have a good EQ if you're not emotionally healthy. The two go hand in hand with that. So anyways, those are a few basic EQ growth skills that can be used every day, and I recommend using them every day to continue to grow in that.
Can I ask, how do you define, so I'm live here, public.
Oh, awesome.
Hey,
everybody.
How do you define emotionally healthy? What does that mean?
So, so Noble asked, how do you define emotionally healthy? I don't even know that I can say what that is. I think there's a lot of different ways that you can define that, probably depending on where the person is starting from and, where it's beginning, where you're beginning and in your background and all that. But I think let me just give this basic one, and I am nobody trained in this, okay? So this is not like I'm a psychologist or anything, I'm not. But I think emotionally healthy is when you're able to know your own emotions, you're able to name your own emotions, and you're able to manage your own emotions. And you're also able to identify other people's emotions and really, behave in a proper way based on what those other person's emotions are. All of that while not being controlled or controlling of that other person. So that would be my definition in a small nutshell.
And
ask me questions.
Based on any of your research, have you found codependency? Can you talk about codependency and that concept? Is codependency common? Is it popular? What percentage of relationships are in codependent relationships?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So Noel asked about codependency, and I don't know what percentage are in codependent relationships, but a lot of times people think of codependency in terms of alcoholics. Like codependent is somebody who's married to an alcoholic or somebody who abuses drugs. And while that's certainly true, there's also, you can be in a relationship with somebody who's not an alcoholic and it can still be codependent. It could be with somebody who's very angry, if you're dealing with an anger issue in a person. If you're dealing with somebody who's very controlling or very manipulative, you can also wind up in a codependent, because here's what happens. The dynamic in a codependent relationship is when you've got person A and person B, and let's say person B is the one that's labeled codependent, labels, whatever, that's just the term that they use. So person A is exhibiting something. It could be they're an alcoholic, it could be they're angry, it could be they're controlling and manipulative, and person B is in the relationship with them. What happens is person A is exhibiting some very negative behavior. Again, it could be anger outbursts. It could be, controlling, extreme controlling, manipulation. It could be the alcoholism or drugs, that type of thing. But because person B wants to be in this relationship, they start doing this cycle where they try to kind of control the situation so that they don't set off the other person. Right, so they don't set off whoever this manipulative person is, or this angry person, this other person. And so they start behaving in ways that are not even in their best interest, because they feel like that's what they have to do, because if they upset this person, or if they upset the apple cart with this person, they think something terrible is going to happen. They think that they can't live without the person, or that they just think that they have to do something to maintain the status quo, or they need the approval of this person, or something like that. And so what happens is they get on this treadmill. It's like they get on this treadmill of, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this to keep this person happy, to keep the status quo, so that I don't get threatened, so that my life doesn't fall apart, so that nothing bad happens. And the treadmill goes faster and faster and faster. And they think that the answer is, I have to do more, I have to do more, I have to make them happy, don't get upset. And they start to kind of live like this because they're constantly watching the other person and reacting to the other person and trying to keep everything okay, and let's keep, let's maintain the status quo. And their whole life is lived wrapped up around this other person. And they're enabling this behavior because essentially what it does is it lets this person continue to act this way, right? It totally lets them continue to act this way. They've got their lives enmeshed in this very unhealthy relationship where they're afraid to break away and the other person is controlling them, right? And so you've got this crazy, this crazy cycle, so to speak. And that's kind of the basics. It looks a little different, I think, for everybody, but that's kind of the basics, the basic gist of a codependent relationship. And the first step, if you find yourself there, is you have to detach, like either emotionally or physically or something. Just detach and just catch your breath and say, okay, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And you have to start to heal the things in you that made you be in that relationship, that made you think that that was okay, that made you think you had to do that. And you have to get off that treadmill, get healthy, and then decide if you're going to re-engage and decide what that needs to look like going forward. So anyways, that's my basic little class on codependent behavior there. And hopefully that helps a little bit.
Hey, hopefully you all got something out of that. If you got something out of that, I'd love to hear a takeaway in the chat below. Share maybe one of your thoughts. Yes, ma'am, I'm with you, ma'am. I agree. So please share one of your thoughts or your takeaways or lessons learned from the chat below. But this is we're doing a class with the 360 influencers that we kind of mentor directly. And feel free to check out, because he shared a little bit too about our emotional journey there as well. Check out some of our previous videos in my Facebook page there, my Facebook group. You can also check on the Facebook group called the 360 Movement. There's a little bit of a selection process. Check that out. We don't let anyone in, just anyone. But if you're serious about growing in areas and stuff, you may get in there. But check that out. But check out some of our previous videos. And if you feel like any of our videos have encouraged you, please share them with other people. Our goal is to reach the world by changing you to change your world, so together we can change the world. And by reach, we mean restore brokenness, empower leaders and influencers, affirm gifting, strengths, and superpowers, cultivating roots, harvesting long-lasting legacy fruits by changing you so we can change your world. Together we can change the world. God bless you all.